Welcome back, everyone, to my home, to my kitchen. It's Cooking with Chef Mark, and it's the home edition. Of course, I'm doing some cooking from home, a little social distancing here in Denver. I understand Denver County is on a stay-at-home. We're up in Adams County. Oh, my oven's preheated. Where that hasn't hit yet, but of course we're practicing good social distancing and following CDC guidelines at Appliance Factory. I'd like to thank Appliance Factory, Mattress Kingdom for sponsoring the cooking all week. They're making this happen, so I appreciate that. I also like to thank, and I have no connection to this next company, but I like to thank King Soopers for doing a great job keeping the stores stocked, keeping fresh groceries, frozen groceries. Hey, Aspen. Hey, buddy. You know you're not supposed to be on the counter. Everyone, this is Aspen. He's a ragdoll. He's a purebred ragdoll. He's a rescue. I got him from the Max Fund. And you know what they say about cats and being curious. So, anyways, he's over here entertaining himself. So, you know, I've got two cats. Aspen's one of them. I'm a cat guy. So, anyways, back to my thank yous. I'd like to thank King Soopers for working hard and keeping the stores stocked and doing a great job keeping us, keeping chefs like myself and even homes and families stocked up full of food. All right, Aspen's in the shot. Is he in the shot? Yeah, Pete's on back there doing a little filming. So he looks comfortable, so I'm just gonna charge on here. Okay, yesterday, if you tuned in, I started with some focaccia bread, right? So bread, I started with bread. I had some instant yeast, some flour, some water, a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and salt. I mixed that all together and I put it in this bag. If you remember, I didn't knead that together. I just went ahead and got all of that just kind of pulled together. And I wasn't sure what kind of bread I wanted to make, but I decided I'm gonna make focaccia bread. So I washed my hands for 40 seconds before I started here. I'm just gonna roll this out. It doesn't have to be, I'm just gonna go for rustic. This dough is nice. It's got good density. If you recall, I put it straight in the fridge and I just let it slowly ferment and rise. And it's got good density because of that. And then I came home for lunch. Back at noon, around noon, I pulled this out and I just kind of let it sit out and to kind of let it rise a little bit. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, get my dough, I'm gonna stretch it out. I'm gonna take my fingers, I'm gonna get some dimples in there. I kind of use my fingernails and kind of pierce it a little bit too. That's going to kind of dock the dough. It's going to keep it from puffing up too much. And then what I'm going to do is some rosemary. This is going to be kind of a classic focaccia bread. Okay, got some rosemary, a little thyme stuck in there too. That's not so bad. And rosemary is very nice. I like focaccia bread because, you know, there's really no rules to this. But I like to do rosemary, fresh rosemary, extra virgin olive oil, salt, and pepper. Okay. Let me add something around here. Okay. I'm trying to preheat a pan over there. If you recall from yesterday, I always start preheating my pans empty, and I had the wrong burner on. I like to preheat my pans while I'm doing other cooking. I got my oven preheated 425 convection. Get a nice hot oven for this. You'll notice I didn't oil the pan. No need to. There's enough fat in the dough. And again, if you're looking for recipes, just watch yesterday's video. I know we posted it both on Facebook and here at Appliance Factory, also at Chef Mark Halix, and then it's going to be on YouTube as well at Appliance Factory's YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. Okay, got my rosemary, extra virgin olive oil. I try to avoid putting garlic on this, fresh garlic, that I find it burns in the oven. If I'm going to do garlic, I might cook the garlic first, like roast it. Okay. Don't be shy with the extra virgin olive oil. Nice kosher salt. Not going to be shy with that either. And then finally, just a little bit of fresh cracked pepper. Like that nice and coarse. Okay. Now it's going to go in the oven. And I'm going to cook it till it's done. So GBD, golden brown delicious. I'm going to set this for 20 minutes initially to see what happens. All right. So into the oven we go. Timer. 20 minutes. Boom. Start. Okay. Look at that. So that's going to be beautiful focaccia bread. We'll have that for For dinner, I think that's going to be great. The thing about focaccia bread, it's one of those breads where you want to make it and you want to eat it right away. It doesn't really hold very well. Not having any preservatives and being kind of that fortified bread with all that fat, it's going to get really stale pretty quickly. So, but it's so easy to make that you can just make a small amount and you can make it every day. You can do it with a sourdough starter as well. That's not very traditional, at least in my opinion. I prefer to just do it kind of just plain old, good old-fashioned bread, and a lot of times I just make it in the same day. I pull together the bread dough with the yeast, and then I let it sit for an hour or two, puff up, and then I go straight in the oven. So it's one of those things where if I know I want focaccia bread for dinner, maybe I'll start at lunch and finish it at dinner, all in the same day. Easy cheesy. All right, next. I got some cool ingredients here. So I got some potatoes. I went to the grocery store, just grabbed some fresh ingredients, what I could find. Let me talk about tomorrow because I'm only thinking 2 days in advance when I'm cooking at home a lot. Recently, I've been cooking at home every meal, every day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I live just moments from Appliance Factory. So I go to the Appliance Factory when it's my day, when I'm there for, and practicing social distancing. Pardon me. I live very close, so I tend to eat 3 meals at home, particularly now with all the restaurants closed. I'm doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I always try to think, what am I going to make 2 days in advance? So tomorrow, I have some frozen chicken, right? And I'm thawing that. It's just me for dinner tomorrow, so I'm just going to make 1 piece of chicken. And that chicken is good old-fashioned frozen chicken. I got this at King Soopers. It's what they have when I went shopping. You'll notice here there's a date, 3/13. That's the date that I bought that. I like to label all my food so that if I bring fresh food home, I'm doing the first in, first out, the FIFO rotation, that I make sure that I'm using the fresh food, or even frozen food, that I'm using the food that came into the house first. It works great for restaurants. It's how restaurants maintain freshness and quality. And I like to use those same tricks at home. So I've got this, I'm going to thaw this 1 chicken breast. And this is an IQF chicken breast, which is individually quick frozen. Each piece of chicken, this is beeping at me. What you doing? Aha. I set it for 2 minutes, not 20 minutes. So individual quick frozen, IQF, and I can pull out 1 chicken breast or 2 or 3 and then thaw them instead of having to pull out like block frozen. You don't see that as much anymore these days, but years ago and even in commercial, getting a block of frozen chicken is very common. It's a lot less expensive actually. So I got my chicken, I'm going to put it in my refrigerator drawer here to thaw that. And then I've got frozen vegetables. Tomorrow I'm doing stir fry. And then the day after that, what day of the week is today? Today's Tuesday? Tuesday. So let's do stir fry tomorrow. I thought I'll do breakfast, tips and tricks, breakfast for dinner on Thursday. And I'm not sure what I'm making Friday yet, but I'm going to think about it so that by the time that comes around, I'll have an idea. And I'm already thinking maybe I'll do spaghetti and meatballs, but I do a twist on the spaghetti. In fact, I do a twist on the whole thing. So you know what? Let's just lock that in. Spaghetti and meatball for Friday. Make sure you tune in for that. Okay. Potato pancakes. I'm going to make like a kind of a fun little quick style Cajun. We got some Cajun style andouille. I saw this looked really nice to me. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to use this as my theme. We got a pepper, some celery. We got a tomato, some onion. I got some fresh herbs, garlic. I make a Cajun seasoning. You can buy this, I make it. It's, it's a ton of ingredients, but white pepper, smoked paprika, cayenne pepper, white pepper, that kind of thing. I kind of mix this together in a food processor. And I make a bunch of it at a time. I'm getting kind of low, so I'll have to make that soon. All right, so I'm gonna make some potato pancakes as the base of this. So what I'm gonna do here is peel my potato. I like to hold my peeler like a pencil, and they do work in both directions. I'm just gonna go through here. And I wash my potatoes. I like these kind of pool style peelers. Okay, and hey guys, if you're tuning in, you got questions about tonight's food, tomorrow's food, yesterday's food, just go ahead, chime in. Pete's working the camera there. He'll let me know that you got a question, and I'll go ahead and do my best to answer it. I've been probably know the answer. You know, I've been cooking for almost 30 years. I know what you're saying, but Mark, you look way too young to be cooking for 30 years. And of course, I started when I was really young. I was 15, and my folks said, "Go get a job, you bum." And I was kind of a lazy kid, so I went and got a job at a restaurant, and I never left. It just really kind of suited my lifestyle. I've always enjoyed it, and now I get to share my passion for cooking with people like yourself. Get to invite you into my home and cook with me. Hopefully, get some good dinner ideas. Hopefully, knock you out of your comfort zone a little bit. Realize that you don't have to use recipes as a guideline. I want you to check out my YouTube channel at Chef Mark Pancakes, because I actually have a 3 or 4 part series on cooking without recipes and recommendations on how to do that. I think it's great content, so I hope you join me there. Okay, box grater. Okay, and be careful with box graters. They can take some skin off the knuckle if you're not careful. Sometimes I might wear like a cut glove, like kind of an armor glove. If I was doing this on a mandolin, I definitely would be. Okay, I'm going to take this down. This is also if you were doing breakfast hash browns and you were using fresh potatoes, this would do the trick. Okay, and I'm not going to be a hero here. I'm not going to go all the way down to, ooh, close one. Good enough, okay. Close one. Be careful with these box graters. A dull box grater, I think, is almost more dangerous than a sharp one. So, you know, this is great for grating cheese. These things really do the trick. So, I always have one kind of major tool in my kitchen. Food processor with a grating blade. You know, do this in 2 seconds. Of course, you have a little bit more cleanup that way, but I think it's way safer than Elizabeth bread. I have a food processor myself, and of course, frankly, I'd have thought about it before now. I'd probably be using that tool. Okay, I'm almost done here because this is sliding on me. These potatoes, well, actually, they're fairly wet, so we got to work around that. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab just a small fist of potato. What I'm going to do is go over the sink. I'm going to squeeze as much water out of there as possible. Okay. Squeeze as much water out of there as possible. If you don't do this, you'll never get browning, ever, 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 ever. If I am doing this through a food processor, sometimes I'll throw an onion in there, food process them too. I could even box grate some onion into my potato if I want that. That's delicious that way. I'm going to do the onion in with my sauce, so I'm going to do that separate today. Okay, nice dry potatoes. Let me clean up a little bit, clean as I go. I'm done with this box grater, so I'm going to go straight into my dishwasher. You'll be amazed at how much easier it is to cook when you're cleaning as you're going. It might take a few more minutes while you're cooking, but you're going to make that up tenfold at the end of your meal period when your kitchen's nice and clean. Get a big cutting board. I like this one. I got this at Standard Restaurant Supply. They're awesome. They're open to the public restaurant supply. They're at 64th and Federal, right across the street from Rocky's Auto. You can't make that up. And these are $50 these cutting boards. Get a decent knife. My cutting board, it lives on my countertop at all times. I don't put it away and bring it back out, put it away. I just leave it there. I clean and sanitize it before I use it. I use it, and it's there. It's ready for me. I love that. Okay. Oh, did we lose Aspen? My cat Aspen was out here earlier. He's a pretty cute guy. He's kind of a jerk, though. You know how cats can be like, well, if you're a cat owner, you know what I'm talking about. They can be not so nice sometimes. So Aspen, he's a pretty cat, but he can sometimes have a bad attitude. Okay, here we go. Good amount of salt. Potatoes are pretty bland, so don't be shy with the salt. Okay, good. Now, I'm preheating a pan. I'm going to use an egg pan, a Teflon egg pan. You want to preheat this a little bit. Not smoking hot, it can damage the Teflon. To avoid using metal in your Teflon pan, I'm going to add some extra virgin, not extra virgin olive oil, I'm using canola oil, a vegetable oil, something lightweight. Some nice lightweight oil that can handle high heat. If you try to do this with extra virgin olive oil, what will end up happening is that the oil will burn. So I'm just going to make a thin veneer potato in the bottom of this pan. Can you see that, Pete? Yeah, he's nodding yes. Okay, everybody can see this at home, right? And because I preheated my pan, it's going to be basically nonstick on top of it being in a Teflon pan. I think that's the right tool for the job. Okay, I'm going to let that brown. I'm going to flip it over, and I might need to finish it in the oven. Maybe not. My oven's on for my focaccia bread, so that's awesome. Do a little bit more cleanup here, and then we're going to move on to the entree. Okay, and 2 potatoes. With these, it's probably going to be enough for a family of 4. So typically, I kind of go a half a potato per person when I'm doing like grated potatoes or hash browns, diced potatoes, that kind of thing. If I'm making mashed potatoes, I go 1 medium potato per person. And here's a little bit of advice for you. I hear sometimes people say, the recipe calls for a medium onion. I don't know what a medium onion is. So therefore, I'm confused and I might be intimidated by that recipe. And that's fair, you know. A medium onion is whatever you want it to be. To me, this is a medium onion, right? Here's a tomato, Roma tomato in comparison. If you love onion, your medium onion might be on the larger side. If you're not a huge onion fan, your medium onion is going to be small. So if it calls for a small onion, maybe it's one of these and you're just using half. When you're cooking savory food, most of these ingredients, they're non-critical, right? So if you end up using a half or a quarter of a cup more onion for a whole recipe, it's not going to change the recipe to the point where you've ruined things, you know. So don't worry about getting so stuck in what's a medium onion. Here's my potato, okay? They're almost ready to flip. I'm looking for a nice brown around the side, okay? Yeah. I'm not going to flip this yet, Pete. I'm going to give this a few more moments here before I flip this. I don't want to cook them too fast because I don't want them to be undercooked. So what I like to do is start with high heat, get my potatoes in there, push them down, let them brown a little bit, and then I'm going to flip them and then turn the heat down so they'll finish cooking. All right, here's how I like to cut a pepper. Okay, so what I'm going to do, hold my knife, pinch grip, pinch the blade, 3 fingers underneath. Right, that's the right way to hold a knife. That's incorrect. That's. I know this feels comfortable, folks, but this is really, you want to bring that finger down into there, and you got a nice. See how my hand's on top of the knife, and it's a forward rocking motion. I see a lot of people coming backwards like this. You really want to be going forward. So what I'm going to do is cut off bottom, top, cut in between the splines. I'm going to lay this down and roll out all this stuff one shot. Okay, I just sharpened my knife, so I need to be careful. Okay, good. So that way I don't have all the seeds bouncing around. All right, and I want to dice this. Again, I'm going to go fairly rough. So I'm going to cut this into a baton. You see how I stacked it? That makes it a little faster. And you see how I got the skin side down, flesh side up? That makes it a lot easier to cut. And there we go. And this is not waste. I'm just going to go through this, cut off. This is a relatively rough dice. And what you can see here is with decent knife skills, you can actually have a couple things going at the same time. So I've got the potato pancakes going first because those are going to take longer than this. I got the focaccia bread going before that because that's going to take longer. All right, we're going to go for a flip here. Okay, you ready? Ah, look at that. Could have gone a little bit more, a little browner, but we're going to go with that. I think that looks good. Okay, very nice. You know what's going to help brown that? Butter, a little bit of butter. Butter's good fat. All right, I'm going to cut some of that off. Just throw that in there. Throw a little knob of butter in there. I'm going to check my bread. Hold on. Ooh, looking good. Oh my gosh. Oh, I opened the oven. The smell. Heavenly. Okay. All right, celery. I'm going to, of course, I washed all my vegetables before I got started. I was in the grocery store earlier today and I watched a woman going through bunches of cilantro. I think she touched every single one of them. Oh, man. Come on, you know, just look and find one and just, you don't have to pick every one up, lady, but I don't know, maybe she forgot that we're in a crisis mode here and it's not very polite to do that. All right, when I peel my onion, I typically either take 2 thick layers of skin off, 1, 2, or if I need to, I'll even take an extra layer of the actual onion off because it's kind of leathery. You'll notice I'm just going to do half an onion. You notice I left the root end on. And I did this yesterday with the shallots. I'm going to do slices down, but not through the root end. And I am cutting back towards me, but I typically only cut back towards me when I have the knife level and I'm holding the knife nice and level and pulling back towards me. I'm not rocking backwards, I'm actually slicing backwards, okay? Here's that cross cut. I want this pretty small, so I'm gonna make 2 cross cuts. 1, 2. Okay, let me go through here, make my cuts. All right, and I'm just kind of making a pile here because I'm gonna cook all this together. Okay, so I'm not really worried about keeping it separate. You know, for ultimate control, it's good to have all this separate because they all cook at different times. But this is just a quick meal in minutes kind of thing. Here's a little tip: if you're cutting all your vegetables, cut all your vegetables, and then cut your protein last on the same cutting board, and then wash your cutting board. Right? That way, you don't contaminate your cutting board first. So just one way you can save maybe a little bit of time. All right, let me see here. That's looking nice. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a flip. Okay, very nice. I'm gonna throw this on a sheet pan, which I might pop back in the oven to make sure things are hot. Okay. And in my kitchen, I'm not cooking for an army. I don't have a very big family, but I have kind of one of everything, right? So I have 1 egg pan, 1 saucepan, which I have over here. Ooh, it's nice and hot. 1 saucepan, 1 stock pot for boiling large quantities of water, making soup. I've got 1 bowl this size. I've got 3 or 4 prep bowls, 6 or 8 of these. But I only really have what I need to cook in this size kitchen. And this is a decent sized kitchen, but it's not huge. So I'm not, I'm very well equipped, but it's fairly minimal. And what that does to me, for me, is that I feel like I don't have to dig to find every piece of equipment I have. Okay? I can just kind of swoop in here. It's easy for me to find what I have. I have 3 sheet trays, 3 large sheet trays. I have 1 roasting pan. I'm just gonna, I know you're not supposed to use metal and Teflon. I'm just gonna use the back of the spoon to kind of help tamp this down. So I'm not gonna be scraping here. I'll probably make a couple more of these here. These are nice. So I'm sticking a little bit, but I'm gonna get a little bit more fat in there. We're good there, Pete? Okay.
Close-ups.
Close-ups. Okay. Pete's coming in for some close-ups here. See, I'm wiggling and I'm not quite moving yet, so I need to get this back on the heat, kind of in a hurry. And I need to get a little bit more fat in there. Potatoes are going to be thirsty for fat, so you see how I got that squeeze bottle of oil? And see how that immediately started moving on me? That's good, okay? I'm preheating this pan. I got this on medium, and it's on a small burner in the back. Just hanging out, just getting hot. Again, it's clean, dry, and empty. This pan got burned a long time ago. That's about as clean as I can get it, but I guarantee you it's clean. All right, let's check out my focaccia bread. Focaccia bread, it's, wow, look at that, it's beautiful. It needs to be browner, but it's gonna be perfect. Timer says 4 minutes. It's probably gonna be closer to 6 or 8 minutes. Okay, but that's gonna be great. We got more potatoes, more butter over here. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut my tomato. All right, close-ups on that. I'm just gonna cut slices on my tomato. I leave the core on, and I'll show you why here in a second. I'm going to stack these up. This I'm going to kind of keep a little separate because I'm going to want to add these a little later in the cooking time. Now, sometimes when I'm making this is like a quick jambalaya. I'll add shrimp. However, I personally have a shrimp allergy. See, I'm cutting around the core, which is right there. So I'm going to skip that. But if you've got, this would be awesome with sausage and shrimp, chicken, bacon. Gosh, I know I have a friend who puts oysters in this. That would be really delicious. So all of those things would be nice. Okay, I'm going to clear off my cutting board a little bit. So I'm just going to grab the vegetables I am going to cook together. This is Trinity, so it's a combination of onion, pepper, and celery. That's the classic Cajun combination of Trinity. I've got some tomatoes, I've got fresh thyme, I've got my Cajun seasoning, got some garlic, which I'll mess around with here in a minute. Now this sausage is already fully cooked, so I'm not really worried about contaminating my cutting board. If this were like a raw piece of meat, I might be, like chicken or something. I'd be very, very careful. But if I want to be extra safe, what I like to do is have an extra small cutting board that I cut all my protein on. And that's just to guarantee that it's easier to clean up and I'm not contaminating the entire kitchen here. I know sometimes I hear people say, never wash your chicken because it splatters all over your kitchen and contaminates your whole kitchen. And I'm like, well, how much water pressure are you using? Be careful. Go ahead and wash your chicken and pat it dry, and just don't use, a fire hose that's going to spray everywhere. Just be careful. Sometimes cooking requires some level of subtlety, and for me, I think subtlety just means, work clean and be cognizant that, of your mess. I'm cutting this into nice big chunks. That's good. So you can use any sausage for this. I'm using an andouille. It looks like it's got some cheddar in there, so that's kind of fun. We're just going to go ahead and get that cooked together. So I got all my mise en place pretty much ready to go. Let me check the potato pancake over here. That's almost ready to flip. Add some butter to that. It's going to be delicious. My focaccia bread, it smells so good. Oh, I can't wait to eat that. This is going to be a great meal. Got a little butter in the pan. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to do the flip. All right, and the flip, and voila. Boom. Okay. Nice consistent color on those two. All right, tomato, garlic, whole cloves. I'll show you how I'm going to work with those here in a minute. Cajun seasoning. We go chicken pan. My pan's nice and hot. Okay. I'm going to do a little switcheroo here. So, you would think that my kitchen at home would be perfect, but every kitchen's got some quirks. And the quirk in my kitchen is that this burner right here, this big one, the big power burner, no matter where I put the dial, it's on full blast. It's always on high. So I've just gotten used to it. And of course I can call my friends over at Appliance Factory and they can come and change the thermostat or whatever. But quite frankly, I'm just so used to it that I'm just kind of living with it. All right, so a little bit of oil. My pan's nice and hot. I'm going to start with my sausage here. I should be running the fan. I'm just doing it this way to show you guys. A couple of them missed and they hit the floor. I'll pick those up in a minute here. Okay, there we go. And see how I'm not sticking, right? That's because I preheated my pan. A cast iron, pardon me, even a cast iron, but a stainless steel pan is naturally nonstick if you preheat it properly. So think about that. If you take a piece of, let's say, sausage or chicken, what have you, you put it in a cold pan, put some oil and put it on the stove, and it sticks every time. It's because you didn't preheat your pan at all or enough. Just fresh time. So make sure you're preheating your pan so that you get that nice, natural, non-stick process. And I think a lot of the reason people enjoy cooking with cast iron is because, in my experience, people know to preheat cast iron. They go, oh, if I preheat it, it brings the oils out and it's naturally non-stick. And it's not so much that the pan is really well seasoned, it's that you preheat it. So just keep that in mind, that's super important to preheat your pan. The other nice thing that happens when you preheat your pan, if you look here, we're getting that nice color on there, right? And I want that nice color on my food. You'll notice here, I really haven't used a spoon yet to start stirring. I'm just kind of flipping stuff. All right, I'm going to get the Cajun seasoning in there. Let that start blooming. Get a nice smell in there. Oh, it smells so good. I heard my oven beep. All right, I'm going to give that 2 more minutes. Perfect. Okay, that should be good. We got some fresh thyme here. Just gonna mix that really quick, get my fresh thyme in there. A lot of times I'll just take fresh thyme and I'll just throw it in loose and pull out later if I don't feel like cutting all the thyme off. That's pretty good. I'm gonna leave that kind of on the rustic side. That's great. Got my Trinity here. Throw that in there. I think I'll grab a spoon. My favorite wooden spoon. Let me give you a stir here, everyone. Look at that, that's looking nice, right? How long am I going to cook this? Well, you know, it's a quick jambalaya, so I'm not going to cook it super long. I just really want to cook it till the vegetables are soft. Like I said, the sausage is already pre-cooked. My potato pancakes are almost ready. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to throw in, some garlic. I got a garlic tip for you. Yesterday I missed my garlic. Today I'm going to take my microplane, and I'm just going to microplane the garlic right up to the root end. Okay. You can see the garlic's right in there. I'm going to tap it in there. One clove is going to do me perfect. Okay, I'm going to get this back on the heat. Let this cook here. I'm going to add the tomatoes in just a moment. I bet it's going to need some salt. Let me go ahead and do that. Beautiful. Potato pancakes. I'm going to get another one going. Now we're multitasking. So Pete's coughing a little bit because the spice from that Cajun seasoning, it'll get you in the sinuses. I'm going to kick on this fan. Pardon the noise. Okay. It's the best thing on TV right now. This is it. Okay, again. You know, I'm just going to do all these. Why not? I'll make this one a little bigger. I could spread this into 4 if I wanted to, but I'm just going to make 3 and I'll make this last one a little on the bigger side. Okay, beautiful. Okay, cleaning with item 1. Gonna get a little bit more fat, a little bit more oil in here. Beautiful. Canola oil's doing the trick. Timer ended. Kasha needs another 2 minutes. Right? Another 2 minutes. How can I tell? Well, the way I tell is I just use my eyes, right?
We have a question.
Yeah, what's up, Pete?
Would this recipe work for pork? Was only able to grab some pork chops from the store yesterday, because obviously I'm sure they're sold out, and I'm looking for a good dinner recipe for them.
Yeah, this would work beautifully with pork. Thanks for the question. So what you want to do, preheat your pan. Make sure your meat is nice and dry, right? Salt and pepper, take the seasoned side down in the pan. Get a nice sear, flip it over, right? Don't flip it too soon, you want that nice sear. Then you can go under a rack in the oven, then you can make this like a sauce. You can saute your veggies, some Cajun seasoning, some tomato. I'm using fresh tomato, you can use canned tomato. And then you can let that cook and make like a jambalaya sauce and pour that over your pork chops. It's a beautiful way to utilize same technique and same ideas and same ingredients using what you have. Thanks for the question. All right. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna add my tomatoes. Pete, I'm gonna ask you to back up here. I got a pro tip right here. Okay, check this out. So I'm gonna bring my pan to my cutting board, scrape, and then right back on, okay? That is a lot easier than trying to move your ingredients all the way across your kitchen and potentially getting a big mess there. All right, guys, so we're ready to eat. I got a plate. Our potato pancakes. They're beautiful. They've held up enough heat. I think what we're going to do here is cut one of those in half. I'm just going to set that on my plate here. Kind of like rabbit ears almost. Right there on the end of the plate. This is going to time out perfectly with my focaccia bread. Okay? Got my jambalaya. Now if I use canned tomatoes, it'd be a little wetter. So I think, but I'm kind of going for more of this kind of dry look here. I think that's going to be really pretty. I'm going to get that right on the plate, right in front of my potato pancakes. You know what works great with Cajun food? Rice, of course. Yeah, that's going to be really more of a more traditional way to do this. Okay, so there's my entree and my side dish. I got my focaccia bread. I'm going to kill this fan. All right. Oh, and the focaccia bread, guess what, guys? It's perfect. Check this out, right? How do I know it's perfect? GBD, golden brown delicious. It's puffed up. It's baked around the sides. The oil is absorbed into the bread. This is delicious. I love that smell. You can see all the kosher salt. You can use sea salt. I use rosemary. You can use dry herbs. Sometimes I do like crushed red pepper flakes. You can make a focaccia pizza. You can spread tomato sauce and sprinkle this cheese, put it back under the oven, and you're good to go. All right, I think we're going to finish up here. Pete, any more questions? Nope, he's nodding no. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks for the questions. I'm going to be back here tomorrow around 3:30. I've got more tips and tricks tomorrow. I'm going to show you how to elevate frozen food. right? So hopefully you tune in. I'm going to be here all week, and if this goes over, you know, throw in the comments that you're enjoying this, because if this is a big hit, we can be here next week too. I just need to hear from you guys, so let me know. This is Chef Mark, live from my home. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.